that time.
Okay, alam ko na panood to ni Rico eh. Kaya I want to know how he felt when he watched it with UPPT. And sa Dulaang UP ba ito napanood? Or sa UP mo ito napanood, Rico?
Oo, sa Wilfredo Maria Guerrero Theater ko siya napanood. I kind of recall it was restaged, I think, sa PETA. But it was yung sa original iteration ko siya napanood. And I just remember, kasi napanood ko kasama with my wife and my daughter, and I just remember walking into the theater, and we were seated somewhere at the back of the bleachers, which are really, really good seats, aside from like row E, row G, if you're going to get a row E, row G. But really, if you can't get those rows, get the really, really back rows, the farthest back, you get a full view. I just remember my breath being taken away by the set. Kasi I'm not sure if the YouTube video does justice to it. You just go like, whoa, I'm in a sala. I'm like, I'm transported somewhere else. So those were my first thoughts. And andun din yung experience of, kasi di ba, pag nanood ka ng play, usually, lalo na pag mga sikat ng Broadway musicals, you kind of, I know the songs already, kind of, medyo familiar ka with stuff, but because it's UPPT, it's a new work. Masarap manood ng play na you have absolutely no idea what it's about. You kind of know that people said it's good, or people from the cast. Pero pagpasok mo, you have absolutely no idea. So parang ganun yung experience. Like, I had no idea what Kundiman Party was about. I just kind of thought there'd be probably singing and probably about Kundiman because of the title, but absolutely blown away as the story unfolded and as the events happened. And I remember thinking, I wish I brought not just my wife and my daughter to see this. I wish I brought all my friends to see it. Pero full house nun eh. Like, I think, it was like an afternoon show that we caught, and it was really, really full. So I think that was something that like people almost expect. If it's a Dexter Santos, Sir Floyd Quintos collaboration, it's almost always a full house. And this one really didn't disappoint. And it's one of those shows that we came out really talking about it. I, my wife, and my daughter were just really talking about it. And we met Sir Floyd Quintos in the lobby. Tapos sabi ni Sir Floyd, bakit niyo dinala yung anak niyo? And he was like, I wish you were traumatized by some words in the plane, and it was kind of cool. It was very, very kind.
Magandang ikumpara kasi to, no? Thank you, Rico, for that information, no? Kasi sabi nga ni Jenny before, when we discuss about this TTGIF, iba yung experience when you're watching it ng live and comparing it to just watching it on stream online. That's why watching it online. Ano yung thoughts mo initially about watching it, this play?
Well, siguro watching it, I rewatched it just like earlier today. Tapos I noticed parang, okay, wait, yung echo, it's not the echo, it's just the noise from the air conditioning that's really bothersome. Tapos may mga lines that you can't quite make out because of audience laughter and all that, which if you're seated in the theater, all of that you kind of screen out and kind of parang you allow it into the experience and you laugh with the audience, you gasp with your fellow audience, you kind of, you're moved by it all along.
Ikaw, Blonsky, since you've just watched this online without even watching it live, how does it feel? How does it feel for you, this play?
Well, I think the experience for us, ni Jenny, was that yung Kundiman kasi it's and as well as the script that Floyd Quintos wrote, it was very text dependent. And unfortunately, because of the recording, we missed out a lot of things, especially yung musical numbers ni Miss Rica Nepomuceno. and Jenny Amora. Didn't get to really hear what they were singing to the fullest extent. So it's a hard experience on my part kasi especially when you're watching some parts, for some reason the audio levels nagbabago. I don't know what it was. Was it the changing of the camera from the close-up camera to the wide camera that made the audio may discrepancy sa audio. So it's unfortunate na we got to experience this play through that recording and especially with something that's so dependent on sound and so dependent on dialogues to have an effect on you. So yeah, that's generally me and Jenny's experience. So maybe the other people that haven't watched the show live, they can chime in on what we just said.
Okay. Yeah, it was really hard to watch it online. Oh, by the way, my wife is here.
He's Jack.
Back.
Hi, Jack.
Go. What do you think?
When I watch it,
Yeah.
parang nasayangan ako dun sa opportunity kasi hindi masyadong maganda yung audio. Wow, when it comes to the recording. So, parang feeling ko na I also wanted to be there watching it. Parang I heard the audience laughing, so I wanted to laugh with them. So, parang yun yung mga hinahanap kong play or musical that will not bore me because it's musical. So, commonly, it's doing a monologue, then characters doing a monologue, then kakanta na siya. So with this, parang the cast are very comfortable with each other. So parang you wanted to be to join them as a cast member, something like that. Just the same with the romance of Magna Rubio. Parang you wanted to join in the cast, something like that.
What do you think about the set? Since you are interior designer, diba, before.
Grabe siya. So I also noticed the set na the production design, no? Parang it's, for me it's very subtle. Hindi talaga siya yung magarbo na set design ako, parang gano'n. Wala siyang for me there was no focal point, but everything on the stage is the focal point. Ganun. Parang it's an absence of focal point. However, everything is there. Sofa is there. Parang no imaginary sofa, no imaginary carpet that it should be there. Not unlike in contemporary set design that the actors needs to parang to act it out that this is the scene, the light, because of the change of lighting would actually just change the setting or any object. Pero doon, you are actually drawn to it. And nag-complement yung actors din sa design.
Yeah.
Parang hindi sumaibabaw yung production design sa actors. They complemented each other.
I realized nga na dun sa sinabi ni Jack about the set is the actors really felt at home. But it also sort of extended to the audience. When you're seated in the theater, you kind of feel like, yeah, we're in the sala, and these titas are cool, and you can just chillax, and you can laugh at their jokes, you can laugh at their titaness. So that when things got really crazy and the home got invaded, which was sort of later on in the plot, you kind of feel like, no, not, you kind of feel threatened too. Kasi nagkaroon ka na ng connection dun sa space. In a very, very parang, yeah, I can sit back and relax and, and this space should not be threatened. It's a home. It's and may ganun feel.
Okay.
Very relaxed acting. talk about acting. Puntahan natin si Diana about acting. So Diana, what do you think about the acting? Is it also relaxed for you? Did they feel comfortable at home when you're watching it?
The acting is, meron silang kind of school of acting in UP eh. Na parang everybody sounds kind of like an activista. Or you know what I mean? Like everybody sounds like parang a Filipino character na modern, but at the same time, it's very Filipino pa din, yung that classic na ano ba yung mga cultural giveaways natin, yung mga beso, even yung pagkatita nila, it's very modern, but at the same time, alam mo na Filipina tita to, you know? And they try to capture it, that very casual way that students talk to each other, the very casual way that pag bumisita tayo sa bahay ng isa't isa, di ba? Oy, kain, and kamusta na, and kailangan, gusto niyo bang uminom, yung mga ganon. And it's funny because that's a normal way of being, but they kind of put a flavor in it, they stylize it, so that it's a little bit, parang naka-italicize siya. You know what, it's a little bit parang highlighted. And ako gusto ko siya because for one is that it makes a lot of jokes easy to laugh at. Yung parang it's casual, you know, yung you can hear these jokes maybe if you were there in a real way, diba? So you don't feel that it's too it's not too rigid, you know. It's open for even maybe improvisation. And they're always trying to catch the audience to, you know, to give them a laugh. You know, they don't want these jokes to go over their heads, you know. So, but at the same time, syempre, they have to carry out the story. So it's this mix of casual, laid-back type of acting that, you know, that they have to act like the common man, and then combined with that very UP method, full of method, full of rehearsal, and script-based. And then they kind of, you know, that's what the energy that you find on that UP stage, yung ganun klase. You know, so I appreciate it because ako, I like laughing in the audience. You know, I like jokes. I like understanding and empathizing with the characters, diba? But yun lang. So, yeah.
Ako, I love the titas. Kasi there's different varieties and different characters. Talagang defined. Ito siya, ito siya, ito siya. So, good job talaga in performance ng titas. But I cannot not say na Sino Siya Main is really good. Kasi I've watched different plays of her. And this one is totally different na naman. That she represented or characterized a different person na very Silvia La Torre, na napaka-taas ng person. Very, kumbaga, ano siya, caricature siya, pero tao eh. Kumbaga, hindi siya pilit na ginawa. So, very natural for me. So, I wanna commend her for that kasi iba talaga siya, ibang level.
Well, I'm trying to deeply consider yung the obstacle of the coverage. Kasi tama din yung sinabi ni Rico na sayang kasi yung experience niya from live is a totally different sensory experience as compared to the video version, diba? So I'm trying to keep that in mind for every comments that I make in every show that we show. Yeah. So when talking about the acting naman for me, one they're I'm pretty sure that they're all very very proficient and they know what they're doing, and siguro pag sa live ang ganda ng bato ng mga linya nila sa isa't isa. For such a strong ensemble. I mean, you have Charmaine Buen Camino, you have Jenny Hamora, so I'm sure ang sarap-sarap ng batuhan nun. And kasi yung from the perception of the YouTube, yun lang yung masasabi ko from the perception of the YouTube, because of that, yung sobrang distant ko from the action, it felt sort of safe the acting choices and the emotional surge from it, and how it carried over the plot and the storytelling. It felt very, very safe. So yun, pero iniisip ko, baka nasa coverage lang talaga.
Yeah.
Because I lost track of the text, the dialogues that they were throwing at each other, even the music mga, so yun, tinatake ko in huge consideration yung coverage at that point.
Yeah, on my end naman, the writing, I think they touched on a lot of very interesting topics, especially one as an artist, when we depend on patrons such as Imelda Marcos, or mga I guess you can say na medyo immorally iffy yung where they got their wealth. And it was a very interesting idea on, like, fighting the bite that
fighting the hand that feeds
there you
you.
go. Parang you're going against the person that's giving you the
Biting.
Ayun, biting.
Sorry.
Nakainom
na ako. Sorry.
Yeah. So yun, so that
Biting
idea
the
na, parang that idea na going against like that person that gives you these opportunities, as well as like the idea of like
it's a very daring
Yeah.
question actually that they're posing.
as well as the idea of like trying to find that political side in you.
Yeah.
And for me, kasi this is my preference. And then I'm speaking on like my preference siguro as what I like in theater. I think I found like those questions, they were not in like a deeper level.
Pero at the same time, taking in consideration pa rin na baka it's a
the
coverage issue.
And as well as parang this is also a different style of theater that siguro I usually watch. And then in terms of like, it's very plot based. Hindi siya character based. Parang it's like for me it's like a plot that moves and moves and moves and moves. Unlike usually the ones I watch, because it's more character based, where it's very minimal like moving of the plots, and then parang you strip off layers of the characters slowly without bringing in new plot twists. So parang this was a different experience for me watching.
But we hope we're wrong.
Yeah.
We hope that when the opportunity comes na ma-restage nila siya, we really want to watch it again and then experience the live.
Yeah.
Because baka natawid na yun eh.
Yeah,
natawid niya yung topics na na-miss namin sa video.
And the coverage was really bad. So it wasn't really siguro, it was for documentation again. It wasn't really supposed to be seen as a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So again, parang this is kind of like observations that's not really fair. But these are like our initial observations from the plot and the the writing and the acting.
I think that's just to touch on the documentation para ma-clear sa audience. Yung audience natin, ilan ba sila? Mga tatlo. Because kung mako-compare niyo yung documentation sa documentation ng, for instance, National Theatre in the UK, diba? The reason why it's covered in such a way na may pagka-advance yung coverage sa UK is because they really covered it to meant for cinema. Because yung practice nila sa UK, usually yung mga theaters doon, they get sold out immediately. So even though 1 year in advance mo tinry na i-book yung tickets, it's sold out na. So what they do to give people chances to watch their plays, they cover the plays and then they show them in the cinema where people can have the chance to still watch them kahit na hindi siya live. So that's why they cover it in such a way na para siyang cinematic. Yung dito kasi, we don't get sold out shows.
Yeah.
So we cover it for documentation's sake.
Yeah.
Well,
Madami akong gustong isingit na tanong sa mga discussion ni Jenny and Lo, no? Pero it's about directing eh. But hindi pa tayo dun eh. Let's talk about first Rico. Let's have Rico discuss about musical direction because he can only be the one to justify since he was able to watch it live and the audio is really bad on YouTube. So Rico will be the one to discuss about musical direction ng play na to. No? So go ahead, Rico.
Sige. Well, just really remembers sitting in the theater, being swept away by the music. I saw Arya Herrera and not the girl on the YouTube video. I saw my friend Arya Herrera in the row. She was so beautiful, and the singing was beautiful, and the music was just the right touch, and the music was coming out of the piano, and it adds a very, very, it just goes through your body the way music does. And the thing is, sayang nga that it wasn't preserved as such, or that even there's no soundtrack or like a cast recording to it. I don't think one is necessary because they sang Kundiman songs, which are available. At that time, I was working as a customer service agent for Spotify. So I go to the office, I answer emails about the app, about Spotify, and I had my earphones on, music all day, like whatever music. Pag nagsawa na ako sa ganitong CD, I transfer to different CD. After seeing Kundiman Party, I was like, I get to listen to music all day at my job, which, back then. Why didn't I even think of listening to Kundiman, which is beautiful music, which is our own music, and it speaks to us. So I tried to play Kundiman songs and try to like control the music for the whole floor. Like everybody listened to Kundiman music, and people were like, "What's going on? Why are we listening to Pilita Corrales? What's going on?" And it's kind of really that experience of what Sir Floyd did for me was, you have a very rich cultural musical heritage that that's available for you. Pero me personally, I'm not swimming in, and yet we forget all about, hey, these are actually songs that are still very, very relevant, and they were written. To make it it's gonna be a favorite comparison of mine. It's almost like doing a Shakespeare you wrote Shakespeare today, still very relevant. You sing Kundiman songs today, and that's what Sir Floyd did for I think for us in Kundiman Party, because it's just so much in our blood, and it's a shame that we don't swim in that music so much anymore as a people.
Ako nakakalungkot dun kasi parang for me nabitin ako dun sa use of music, dun sa Kundiman Party. I'm expecting really a lot of music of Kundiman songs. But then, nung binilang ko parang 5 or 6 if I'm not mistaken yung ginamit na songs, and then I was expecting musical, pero hindi talaga siya for me musical eh. It's really just about a straight play na merong music in the middle of it. Mga ginagawa silang music, which is Kundiman, which is really good. And ramdam mo yung performance ng mga kumakanta. And of course, with the music that we're using, binanggit nga ni Rico kanina, na Kundiman music is alive on its own. Na hindi mo na kailangan na mag-isip, just feel it, kumikit ka, nararamdaman mo yung sinasabi. And even if you just read the lyrics of Kundiman, it's poetry on its own. Yun ang ganda ng Kundiman. Napag-aralan kasi namin yan sa PETA Theater Workshop. Eh. So I really admire those people, ni Canora Bilardo, Francisco Santiago, sila Rick Manrique na kumanta ng Kundiman is really good. And buhay na buhay sa kanila yung musika. For me yung musicality niya, for me kulang lang, Rico. Yung naramdaman ko talaga when I'm watching it. Parang kapos. Parang ang konti ng ginamit ng music sa isang musical theater.
Parang it's more of like, it's a play with music. Not necessarily a musical play. Ako rin parang I was looking for more Kundiman kasi I used to work in Saints ko, diba, sa College of Music. So every time I enter yung music building, parang I'm just surrounded by mga classical music, even yung mga Kundiman, ganun. So parang I was really looking forward to a lot of those na. Pero yun nga, I also realized na parang okay, it's not necessarily a musical. It's a play with music, you know.
Yeah, and then I think it's also I think I requested a clip from Joel.
For me and for many singers, this is Abelardo's masterpiece and his most difficult opera, Diana Classic. I imagine he wasn't only writing about the classic river, he was thinking about every mountain, every forest and plain, every shore of every island that make up this great archipelago. The country we all love, must defend. Ano na lang ang sasabihin ng mutya na yung tahasan natin ipinamimigay ang ating isla at karagatan? Anong klaseng pag-ibig ang meron tayong hinahayaan natin ipamigay ang ating teritoryo? Hinihingi ng inang bayan ang ating pag-ibig. Huwag nating papayagan na basta na lamang iabot ang ating yaman sa mga dayuhang umaangkin. Ating ang bawat mundo, bawat isla, bawat dagat na bumubuo ng ating bansa.
Kasi parang I don't know with the audio, correct me if I'm wrong, Rico, but ini-explain ng character ni Maestra yung inner meaning ng Kundiman. This is the scene where si Miss Rica sings, and then ini-explain niya parang I guess the essence of, or parang the meanings of the Kundiman. And parang for me kasi, my preference, kasi I'm talking about my preference, I want kasi like music to not be like parang given to me yung meaning eh. Parang I just want to hear the Kundiman without like people telling me what the Kundiman was about. And in that scene kasi parang I kind of felt a little iffy about why they decided to put their interpretation of the Kundiman. Maybe it's more for an educational purpose. And I think a lot of the mga interviews that I saw about Kundiman Party was that they wanted to educate the youth about Kundiman. So there was more of an educational purpose to that. So parang for me, that yun lang yung scene eh. Parang let the Kundiman speak to you instead of like trying to, put the meaning from the director, the writer. But again, that's personal preference ko yun eh.
Can I just say, kasi, okay, so you guys said that it's a play with music. Ang naisip ko naman, it's a play about music. It's a play, diba, Kundiman Party, it's not just about the party, meaning the group of people doing Kundiman, but Kundiman Party, the representation of Kundiman. Kundiman not just as a it's a symbol, diba, of an age of the old world and the modern world. So parang Kundiman, it's not saying na, hey, this is a play and you're gonna hear Kundiman songs. This is a play that we're gonna tackle the topic of Kundiman. Parang ganun. So yes, so yeah, educational, but at the same time, it's being used as a character. Parang gano'n.
I would have accepted that. Pero meron kasing ginamit ng music about yung I Will Survive.
Earplugs ko! Ang theme song mo! First I was afraid. The girl was terrified. Science projects come to life. The thought of by her side. Kasing puti ng singkamas. Ang dede niya'y tayong-tayo. Ang asawa ko naglalaway ng gato. I mean, how many had there been? How many more to come? And so I stayed.
Okay, kung gumamit ka nun, I'm expecting na meron pa kasunod na modern na gagamitin pa. Pero wala na eh. In fairness kay Miss Himora, okay yung pagkakanta niya, but the thing is, yung siguro for me yung either the script or the director, I'm not really sure where it falls. Yun sa akin.
Yeah. Pero feeling ko rin, Joel, it's more of, we need to look at it in the intention of the play itself. Parang they're really like trying to get the youth, or probably like, even like probably non-diehard artists to actually watch their play, be informed that there is this Kundiman, and maybe that's why they put these mga may pagka random inserting of music. Kasi this I Will Survive is kind of like such a popular tune. So parang even I guess my mom, who's not really an artist, when she watches the Kundiman party, she'll be connected to it right away. So probably it's really more of an entertainment
device.
or it's like a fun play, a device, what Jenny said, and that's why that's why they chose putting that song.
It's about, the story is about the old and the new the old meeting the new. Even in the script itself, diba, there's the older characters, yung mga tita, and then the younger characters, and them learning about, the old world. So that in itself, it's already telling you what the whole story is about and what they're trying to achieve, which is to kind of introduce the old to the new world, and then the new world to the old world. It's not gonna be about just the old world. It's not gonna be just about the new world. It's kind of where they meet. And in a way, yung tita, gusto ko yung character of the titas, because the tita is kind of that they're in the middle. They're not quite old. They're not quite young. They're the perfect parang beacon for something as abstract as, where does the old, where does the new begin and end, diba? So parang, to show to show the how kuwela it is, but at the same time how important it is. It's a mash. So it's kind of hard to kind of, take it apart or pick up which parts is which and which parts that. It's all kind of, jive together in this play, in this script, and in the story itself.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I just want to, I guess, on the topic of titas, usually kasi the ones who get recognized, I think, si Miss Jenny Himora, no? But I think my personal favorite tita is actually si Tita Helen.
Yeah, the great Stella Cañete.
Yeah, parang she actually very natural yung pag-portray niya. And then she didn't really like, she's not a scene parang scene grabber, but I really noticed like how complimentary she is to the other actors. And I just want to, I'm sure kasi she might not be recognized masyado because she's parang more supporting than the other tita. So I just want to say, you're my favorite tita Helen.
So most likely everyone will be going for the Tita Mitch as a strong
Tita Mitch or Tita Mine,
Yeah.
Ano tayo, blow? Tita Helen. Hashtag Tita Helen. Team Helen. Team Helen. Pero I want it dawned on me while Diana was speaking how strange that there's Tita Adela generation, Madam Adela generation, tapos she was like mentioned side by side with the likes of Ben Cervantes, Mansa Oliveros, all of these names that we know. And then we have Tita Helen, Tita Mayen, and Tita Mitch. And then the young ones. And yet parang across these generations, they're still fighting. Filipinos are still fighting for the same form of evil. Nagpalit lang ng pangalan. Isn't that kind of, that's what's kind of, we're still in this um, thing. We're still talking about the same political tremors, the same political tensions.
Grabe, kinilibutan ako doon.
Oo, so
Kinilibutan ako doon.
parang when can we graduate as a people from this? Is something that made me think while you were speaking, Dayan.
Pero hindi pa rin ako satisfied dun sa kung bakit isa lang ang ginamit na modern song.
Modern
want to have a jive of the musicality or the generation gap. Kasi Kundiman songs, ang daming ginamit na songs, mga 4 to 5 or 6. And for the modern is lang. And
maybe they're not being strict about it. Yung parang they weren't counting on the mathematicals of it. Parang they were just being kind of intuitive on each scene. I don't know, maybe.
I think when you title it as Kundiman Party, that kind of sets an expectation already. It's so parang people come in, okay, baka there's a like it's gonna be like a medley of Kundimans, and then we'll be oriented with a lot of them within the span of 2 hours. So I think that's the it kind of reminds me of a Brillante Mendoza film.
I was gonna say that.
Na titled Mindanao, diba? And I don't know if you guys have seen it, pero when you title something a film so heavily as Mindanao, it comes with a lot of like political expectations, social expectations, because the name Mindanao is already very heavy with history. No? And then you come into the movie, and the disappointing part about that film was that it was apolitical through and through.
Yeah.
So parang like, why would you title something as so heavily as Mindanao and then mislead the audience into a journey that's not political to begin with? No? So siguro yun yung sinasabi ni Joel na parang you titled it this way. I come in with a certain expectation because of that title. And so I was misled. Parang it was majority of the time it was dialogue. Pero parang 5% of the time it was music, or 10% or whatever, basta lower percent, no. So I guess like I'm just trying to explain Joel. I'm just trying to explain from an audience perspective. Kung nga sabihin natin na Joel is the audience, diba? I'm trying to explain from his perspective as an audience why it might be coming flat from his point of view.
Or parang or kulang yung use of Kundiman in terms of
kasi Joel is such an interesting subject to analyze apparently.
Let me just clear I love the play. Okay, the totality of it. I'm just being the audience.
Okay.
Sinasabi ni Jenny.
Pero that's a very interesting kasi maraming mga cases na the title has misled the audience. And then parang it has instead of the audience coming in with a certain with a certain expectation of a meeting, the meeting goes in another way. So minsan it starts with the title itself, so ako kasi when I came in watching it, parang okay, it's not so much about the Kundiman per se, but it's really about the political
party.
The political theme that comes.
Maybe if it was titled Kundiman, pero it's titled the Kundiman Party,
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
there's still the use kasi of Kundiman eh. Parang yun nga eh, parang that's what we're trying to say. Like, Kundiman such a strong word. It's as strong siguro as like they use how Brillante Mendoza used the word Mindanao. So probably the expectations of me, Jenny, and probably Joel was that there was more Kundiman songs. But again, expectations doesn't mean naman na that's what's gonna happen in the play. So, yun lang naman. That's it.
Yun lang naman.
So I have a question for you with that Jenny. Would you think the director has things that he can do about it so that masatisfy yung mga tulad kong audience na magawing Kundiman party, hindi na mag-expect too much, gano'n?
Okay. Before I say, may beer pa ba? Wala na. Okay. Before I say anything, I just have a disclaimer, no? Because I come from a different background, a different exposure, different training, and different style. Therefore, I have a different I guess preference, or I have a different aesthetic that I want to see in theater. No, yun lang, gusto kong lang i-disclaimer yon kasi whatever I say, just take it with a grain of salt. Because ano yun eh, parang theater is diverse, and it's highly, I believe that theater is cultural, more cultural than universal. No? So it really depends on an individual's background, exposure, training, style, etc. I find that the production in general it's quite very clean. You know, it's very clean cut. It's straightforward. It goes by the book on how you should treat a proscenium. So yung sinasabi niyong production design, actually that's the textbook, yung correctness of a production design when you deal with a proscenium. Kasi pag proscenium, it's kind of like a canvas. You have to fill the whole canvas with paint. Because if you go minimalist with a proscenium, it looks really dead. No? So it goes by the book on how you should treat proscenium in terms of production design. And so it's my take on it. It's really more of a production design rather than scenography. Because when you talk about scenography, you're already talking about how it functions as a collaborator with the audience, or with the performers, how it moves, how it becomes multifunctional, etc. But with that one, it's really more production design in terms of like it presents a backdrop. No, it sets the milieu, it sets the atmosphere, but it doesn't necessarily move like a machine. No. So yeah, directing wise, I found it quite clean and very, very entertaining. I don't doubt that people would find it so entertaining kasi ang daming mga very sharp na punchlines that comes with the play.
Yeah. And the punchlines are very Pinoy pa eh. So
so parang you cannot avoid but get hooked with the titas of Manila characters.
The pianist.
With the pianist, kahit supporting siya. And also, of course, siya main Buen Camino. But I guess in a way, and this is from my preference talking naman, no. It's quite clean to a fault. Kasi ako kasi what I would like to see when I come in come in watching a play expecting that it's going to be a political discussion, I'm looking for that grit yung konting mess that comes with it, yung grit, yung bite, especially since when you think about it, ang ganda kasi ng premise ng kwento.
Ganda.
You know, think about it. It's very original actually. You have like a retired singer, not just any singer, a classical singer, who all her life she received support from the Marcoses, no, And then at the turn of the EDSA revolution, she became an activist. So she bit the hand that fed her, right? And then she kept singing Kundimans all throughout her activism na naubos yung voice niya. And so she retired. She retired and then she became a teacher. And then many years later, the boyfriend of one of her students approaches her, invites her back to activism. And not just any guy, you know, yung this boy kind of mimics her because he's the son of a senator, a very corrupt senator. So the premise is actually very, very innovative. It's very, very interesting. And for me, more than the question of like the cycle of the, you were talking earlier, Rico, about how nauulit yung political yung political problems ng bansa, diba, from one generation to the next. And sabi ko, oh nga, no, yeah, that is very interesting. And I think that the role that plays there is the hypocrisy of the character, especially the character of Maestra, na lumipat yung hypocrisy to Bobby. Bobby na, yung name ng character ng boy. And,
Nasaan si Bobby?
si Bobby. So parang for me, ang gandang premise nun. And siguro yun yung hinahanap ko, yung the fleshing out of her hypocrisy. And how yes, a lot of sorry to say, but a lot of the artists that have gone through government support are quite hypocrite then. A lot of us have gone through that hypocrisy kasi how can you bite the hand that feeds you even though nagka-clash yung principles ninyo?
Yeah.
So parang
ang brave
yun
ni Jenny,
hinahanap.
grabe.
Bakit? Parang yun yung hinahanap kung sana na-flesh out eh. Pero nadala ako instead with the comic relief and the punchlines, which is good. It's entertaining, diba? Pero yun nga lang, I'm not coming to the theater just for the punchlines. I'm coming to the theater to really go way deep and take risk with the fleshing out of something na it's quite shameful. Talking about someone's hypocrisy is a shameful thing,
especially for artists. Kasi we deal with like, you know, truth.
It's a shameful facade, diba?
Yeah.
So parang to admit that you are a hypocrite, yun, medyo nakakaya yun eh, to bring it to the table. So parang parang yun yung gusto ko sanang makita from the unraveling of Maestra, when nung and then until to the unraveling of Bobby.
I have a
Yun.
question.
Pero siguro hindi ko nakita yon. Hindi ko nakita yon because of the coverage. So that's another consideration I'm trying to put into place.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Go, Rix.
My question on that is, kasi nga it's so clean. So parang it's supposed to kind of mirror the life that Maestra Adele chose for herself, diba? Shouldn't the grit have been provided by the Bobby character coming in, trying to make all of these changes? He's moreno, he looks very Filipino, he's not elegante, he's not like the titas na parang very, very finesse, very feminine. He doesn't even sing, diba? So parang, don't you think siya yung character that should bring that grit, that little dirt in the scene, and then like towards the end unravels, and like siguro if we stayed in the scene past like 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is the length of the play, and kind of watched how Madame happened, do you think she would have evolved to somebody who would probably more or less not mind so much dirt and grit?
Before I listen to thoughts,
sige, I think what Rico's, that's a very good suggestion, Rico. But the thing is, I think what happens is you really, in my opinion, if I was the writer of that play, I would actually cut out the titas of Manila. Because it actually becomes...
What a bold statement.
No, but I'm saying...
No, pero sige, go lang.
I'm saying as a whole piece eh. Parang I saw parang an adaptation, I think 10 years ago of Cherry Hill eh. She did masterclass with Maria Callas.
Yeah.
She betrayed Maria Callas, and that one was really character based, character driven. There's no, parang it was really just a masterclass, and then parang nag-unfold yung parang layers of Maria Callas because she's a very complicated character. So yun nga, parang that's the difference. That's a choice that the writer does. If you want it plot based, you put Titos of Manila. If you want it like what Jenny's saying, like grit more parang character, parang parang what do you call that? Yung inner beings of the character. You lessen the characters. You make it like probably 4 or 5 the most, and then really talk about like yung parang the effect of how she wasn't an activist and the choices she made in terms of rebelling against.
It would be like a personal dialogue between Maestra and Bobby, rather than there's a group of chorus interjecting every now and then.
Yeah, and the play becomes it loses the parang fun of what made the Kundiman party so popular among a lot of us. So parang it becomes nagkakaroon ng directional change siya from parang light and fun and comedy. It becomes like really gritty.
Ang hirap mag-comment about directing. Kasi like directing, I cannot impose my directing choices to someone else's directing choices, diba? It's just not fair. Kasi it's a preference thing. It's also a practice thing. It's a cultural thing. It's a everything. So mahirap mag-ano eh. Pero if you would suggest that Bobby is the turning point of breaking that cleanliness, then I would try to expect more from the acting choices of Bobby. So parang you can establish like a really clean, stylized acting from the beginning of the ensemble, and then that would create that gestural language. Na okay, this is a comfort zone for Maestra and her titas of Manila and her teaching of voice lessons, etc. And then in comes Bobby, and then it changes the gestural language slowly, diba? He brings in his language, his physical language, and then parang na-contaminate yung buong stage, yung buong sala, diba?
Yeah.
So nakikita ko naman yun. I think yung sinasabi ko lang is like, if you're gonna go there, go all the way. Pero that's my preference.
Yeah.
Parang nakikita ko naman na it's a very balanced show.
Yeah, it is.
And it's very, very balanced.
Yeah.
It's well organized. It's well played. And it's very, very entertaining. So and if it's able to get people talk about it, then it's done its job well, regardless of the genre or style.
Yeah.
May problema ako kay Bobby.
Yes, let's talk about Bobby.
Guwapo siya.
Binanggit niyo, yung binanggit ni Rico na Bobby will be the one to yung may grit sa show.
Nagigets ko naman yung idea kung bakit nag-give in si Bobby.
Yeah.
It's trying to tell us na kaya pa ulit-ulit yung political problems natin sa nation, and it crosses from one generation to the next because we're giving up our principles, diba? We're focusing on what provides us individually rather than what might provide the nation later on, diba? The long term. So nagigets ko yung why the character had to give in. And I guess like yung ano ko lang sa Bobby character, he should have brought that grit through and through. To really smash that clean world. Pero yun din. Yun din yung hypocrisy niya.
Come to think of it kasi
he smashed it and then he went back.
Yeah.
So yun yung hypocrisy niya.
Yeah. And come to think of it, Ren, it was really him who pushed Maestra to go back to being a political figure. Eh. So parang that he actually has a strength in him. Yun lang, parang nawala lang siya. So again kasi we're really serving the plot eh, and you know the story that Sir Floy and Sir Dexter wanted to say, and we can't really, like, we're just speaking on like our preferences, but I'm sure they have a lot of reasons why they chose that direction in that writing.
Yeah. But overall, I believe we all agree na it's entertaining and it's a good watch, and it lived up to the production of UP Playwrights Theater. So good job for them, and thank you for that stream. It's free anyway. Ano natin na chumika pa, libre na nga, ano ba tayo na.